Boom, guys, listen, we're back. We're by the lake. We just got done with a football match. Scored 1. So I'm top scorer for the team now. Let's go. We won 2-1, so that's final score. And I'm walking home now. And I played with a swollen ankle and a heel that is completely messed up, but we made it through. We scored a goal, played the full 90 minutes. Let's go. You know, injuries and all. But I want to talk about something. I actually made a different video on this, but I never posted it. And it's about kind of like when I left Thailand, right? Back a few months ago. And, you know, Thailand was very nice. I fell in love with Thailand. It's a beautiful place. I'll be back there, you know. But when it came around like February times, you know, I just came back from Dubai, and I found myself kind of going through the same loop of doing the same things over and over and over again. And like it's at the same time as I'm a creature of like habits and routine, but I also am a habit of changing up my environment every now and then, changing up my training, right? Like if I were to dedicate myself to this one type of training, I probably would be quite good, you know. But I always just, you know, pivoted in between the different stuff, you know, the runs and the Muay Thai and all that stuff, right? Just challenging myself, which I enjoy. I find great, what's it called? I don't know. But it's very fulfillment. I find great fulfillment in it, right? And when I got back to Thailand, right, I remember at the moment I decided that I wanted to leave and come back, you know, come to another environment. Norway was nice, you know, because I kind of wanted the winter again, you know. This is a side note, but I think that if you're like European, from European countries, I think there's certain health benefits to having winter. I don't know why. I just feel like something happens with our bodies that makes it nice and strong. Even though it sucks, you know, to come home when it's dark outside, I think it's a very important thing for the overall health. I don't know why. But I found myself in a place of chaos when I came back from Dubai, right? There was chaos in the mind and stuff like that. And there was this pivotal moment when I stepped into the gym, right? It was in my condo, an apartment building there, right? I had this thought in my mind. I'm not going to say what the thought was, but you know, I've talked about the downward spiral of negative thoughts, right? If you go down the thought and you start analyzing a certain idea, you end up at a bad consequence, whatever consequence that might be, right? And so I realized in a moment, because I'm very, very meta-analytical. If you don't know what that means, it means kind of observant of one's thought, right? I just learned this word. And so I realized that something needs to change. I need to get out of here. It was very vivid, the fact that I realized in that moment. I still remember why and kind of that moment. So it's very interesting. And I had stuff, you know, there was chaos, different, you know, things that, you know, was, you know, on my mind, right? Just like it is for everyone else. And as I was planning to leave, there was things I needed to make peace with, right? And I found a lot of power in forgiveness. And it's something that you come back to every now and then. I think it's something you come back to every now and then, at least, because to truly let go, right, there can't be resentment. Because resentment is attachment, right? And so I learned that through forgiving people because I'll say this, right? The way I see the world, right? I have a very binary view of the world. It's either or for a lot of things, right? Not for everything, and context plays a part in different areas of life. But I'm very binary with the way I think about things. It's like with discipline, for example. Either you're disciplined or you're not disciplined. And it's a very active decision. And so when people around me, right? I'm very binary of the way I treat people. It's like either I'm very loyal, right? Or it's like you know, if I'm like on the side of someone, I'm very on the side of someone, and it's not, you know, if I'm a dog of a guy, okay? Let me say that I'm a fucking dog, and I don't have any shame in calling myself a dog, you know. I find it I'm quite proud of, you know, being like a dog, you know. If I were to be an animal, I'd probably be a fucking dog, honestly, right? These people don't leave your side. They'll do exactly what you tell them to do. And I got it back from the military, but I basically was like a dog to our tank commander, I remember. He could just send me out and I'll just get the job done, which I kind of like, you know. It's kind of like, and it's not a degrading term or anything. I find it to be really good, because it's someone that gets the job done, right? A good dog gets the job done. So I'm a dog, right? And it's like, if you want an example of what that looks like, look at the movie Sicario and the guy called Alejandro. He's the bird dog. Even he gets called the bird dog in the movie, even by the main guy. That's a really good movie, by the way. Sicario, Sicario. I'm a spelling master too, so really good movie. And when I think of people, right, people around me, it's always like, if they're not with me, I'm very binary about it. They're usually against me, okay? So I don't, or it's like, or they're not there at all, right? But it's very binary. So I have to catch myself sometimes, right? I have to think of like people like they, and it can be difficult because I have to catch myself, because there's the problem with having such a binary mindset of everything, right? Either or. It's that you can get caught up in mistakes, right? Because people make mistakes. That's fine, you know. We're human, and I'm always on the side of that. No, we're not making mistakes, and if we make a mistake, like that needs to be punished. So, and it can be, it's not always a good, you know, thing to think that way. And I realize that, but I've curated this mindset and this way of thinking, and I'm very analytical about it, as I said, in a way that I know that this is probably not always the best way to think, but it's a stance I take, right? It's a stance I take, and I understand that people make mistakes sometimes. And what I found, right, through the chaos that came up, was that forgiveness was a good answer to that, to forgive people, to let go. And I think that to hear the words and to say the words to someone, right? I forgive you. There's power in that, right? There's true power in that. Just like you can look at the movie Good Will Hunting. So Will, right? He's a guy who has all this stuff on his mind, and the psychologist he's seeing, he's the only one who can figure him out, right? He's a hardened man himself. You should watch the movie Good Will Hunting. And basically, the psychologist he kind of tells Will to forgive himself in a certain way, and it cracks Will. That's the thing that cracks Will, right? Because Will has seen all the psychologists before, and he's told them all to fuck off, right? But this guy, there's something about it. He gets on the inside of Will, kind of his mind and how he works, and kind of, you know, tells him to, you know, it kind of gives him some shit back, because Will always tells his psychologist to fuck off, and he kind of messes with them. But this guy, right, played by Robin Williams, God bless. And so Robin Williams, right, the psychologist, tells him that, listen, it's not your fault. And basically, he's telling Will that it's not your fault. Like, you forgive yourself in a certain way, and Will finds peace in that, and is able to sort out all of the chaos in his life. And that's just something I came up, I thought of right now, but it did a lot for me. There's people in my life that I needed to forgive, and I find true peace in that, in saying and making amends with people and saying that I forgive you, and it's made me much more peaceful inside, just adopting that and not staying resentful of people. And that doesn't mean I forgive everything, right? There's stuff I hate. There's people I hate. I hate people who do bad to people who can't defend themselves. For example, right? I know that there's people out there who's looking to do serious harm to people, and I think all of us men, have a duty to stand against that. As mentioned in the movie Kingdom of Heaven, when it's kind of the night vow that Balian takes. Go watch that movie too. I have a lot of movies here. But yeah. Telling yourself that you forgive the person, you don't even have to tell the person. You can just let go. All right? In your own mind. Stay to yourself at least. Hey, it's fine. I forgive you. All right? And you can even look in the mirror and say, I forgive you too. There's stuff I would, that I won't forgive myself for, right? And I probably never will, but I think everyone has their own journey with that. And it's not about whether or not you believe in God or anything, but it's just about making amends with people around you, people like with yourself, the way you approach different ideas in your mind, right? Like I said, with the binary thinking that I have. And that's still something, the way I'm going to think about stuff. It's not that I changed up the way I think and the stance I take. It's just the fact that I have to be aware of the way I think and what problems. Or there's always pros and cons, right, to the way we think, the way we approach life. And that's kind of like for the success thing, right, that I made a video on. I'll put the annotation here. It's not up to me to dictate what success is. I just wanted you to be aware, right? And perhaps this can spark some awareness in you too. And it's been great for my own sake, peace of mind. That, and also the last video I made, kind of like this, I talked about getting back into nature and letting nature be the medicine to chaos. Truly, But for the Bangkok stuff, I was so ill. My God, I haven't talked enough about this. I couldn't breathe. I was taking breaths and I started coughing. I coughed off like almost my lungs every single time. You can probably hear it in the first Return to Gorilla vlog that I made when I came back here. My voice is a bit raspy, I believe. So, and I still have side effects from the pollution there. I was so ill, I couldn't be there anymore. It was crazy. Because I cherish my health, and just like you guys should, cherish your own health. It's very important. It's the most important thing you have. If you have a health issue, you only have one issue. So, it got really bad, and I was like, get me out of here. I can't breathe, right? George Floyd. You guys see the George Floyd memes with the droids? Oh my God, I have a friend of mine who sends me these memes all the time. It's hilarious. Oh boy. But yeah, just wanted to share some thoughts on that. Hope you guys are out there training hard, and finding peace through strength, right? Not peace through weakness. Because a lot of people, they'll preach this forgiveness stuff in a very weak manner. It's not about weakness. It's about the strength to let go. And that's completely different. And I hope you guys understand that. All right? So with that, hope you guys have a blessed day wherever you are. Take care and God bless. Boom.